Frank.
Oh, hi, Andrea. Are we on?
Yes, we are. I guess we are.
Great. Well, welcome, everyone. Today, we welcome Andrea Botticelli. I'm Frank Nakashima, the host today, and we're going to talk about Andrea's new recording. As you may know, she plays historical keyboard instruments and presents concerts across Canada, introducing audiences to the fortepiano, clavichord, harpsichord, as well as the modern piano, and demonstrating the unique sounds of each. So let's start by watching a clip of her performance.
Musical motives written in different registers sound very different on this instrument. And it's just a delightful experience to be able to play a piece on a historical piano and to hear a different timbre that you were not necessarily expecting. Then it just becomes a very lovely feedback loop between listening and reacting to these expressive elements. So listening and sort of hearing these what feel like new possibilities, and then trying to interpret in a way that brings the possibilities out even more, possibly lingering on a certain passage that has a special sound. So playing repertoire and hearing these new sounds, or what feel like new sounds, but are actually sounds that the composers at the time were well aware of, really feels like I'm discovering new possibilities in this repertoire that has been so thoroughly recorded already on modern instruments. To pair Clara Schumann's Nocturne from the Soirée Musicale and Robert Schumann's Novelette in F-sharp minor together for a while, because I really feel that it illustrates the connection between the two, not only their personal connection, but their musical connection, both as performers and composers. So Clara and Robert Schumann were married, and Clara was known as a famous pianist at the time, but she was also a composer in her own right. She always kind of downplayed her compositional talents. I wanted to pair her Nocturne with the Schumann Novelette, because there are quotations from her Nocturne in this Novelette, and they really come about at very important expressive moments in the piece. The novelette in general is kind of a stream of consciousness of different characters and different motives. But at a very special moment, we have a marking, Stimme aus der Ferne, so a voice from afar. And we hear this theme from Clara Schumann's Nocturne. I used the moderator as an effect to create a very velvety, muffled sound in this moment, as though Schumann was hearing something in his mind that was sort of spurring his musical imagination. And it appears once more at a very climactic segment towards the end of the piece in a fortissimo passage. So for me, this was really a demonstration of just the pervasive presence of her musicianship in Schumann's imagination.
Well, Andrea, sounds like you've been quite busy. I understand this is your debut recording using a forte piano?
Yes, this is my first commercial recording and my first forte piano recording.
But before this, you studied modern piano, right?
So most of my training was as a modern pianist, right up until my doctoral studies, actually. And I think it was at the end of my second year that I happened to go to a summer music program, Early Music Vancouver, and I tried a forte piano there for the first time.
Wow, well, that must have been pretty exciting.
Yeah, so I mean, I was just struck by how the instrument spoke to me and how I heard music that I thought I knew very well, how different it sounded on these historical instruments. So I came back home and I changed my dissertation topic. And since then, I've been traveling to study and play on as many forte pianos as I could find.
But I've seen forte pianos in museums, but where do you find one that you can play on?
So yeah, there are actually quite a few forte pianos around if you know where to look. I actually became a transfer student at McGill University, and I traveled to Cornell and around Europe, actually, meeting keyboard artisans who've really revived the craft of building these instruments, really as works of art. So places like the Czech Republic and Belgium and France and the Netherlands. And I've been playing on forte pianos across Canada since then.
But why did you choose the Banff Center for this project?
So when I heard that the Banff Center was purchasing a forte piano or had purchased a forte piano, I thought it was really a perfect opportunity to do a long-term residency and a project like this. So I have fond memories of the piano masterclass there with Marek Jablonski when I was younger. And so I already knew about the spectacular facilities at the Banff Center and also their philosophy of support for artists and just giving them freedom to explore. So I thought it would really be a perfect opportunity to have a project on a unique instrument like this.
Well, tell us more about this forte piano at Banff.
So the forte piano at Banff is a 6.5 octave 19th century forte piano model based on the instruments of the Viennese keyboard maker Conrad Graf from about the 1830s. And it's built by Rodney Regier in Maine. It actually has some very interesting differences compared to a modern piano.
Yeah, well, the touch is different, isn't it? I mean, like it's lighter or it feels different.
Yes. So the keyboard dip is a bit shallower than on a modern piano, and the touch itself is lighter and making it very, very responsive. So there are also some differences in timbre between the registers of an instrument, of a forte piano. So you get something like a lighter, clearer treble register, and it's often compared to the sound of woodwind instruments. A speaking or a singing middle register, and a lighter and clearer bass.
But I've noticed the pedals on the forte piano. Are they the same as modern?
So another interesting feature is that you usually get more of a selection of pedals to use on historical pianos. So on this particular instrument, there's a damper pedal, an unaccorded pedal, the same as what you would find on a modern piano, and also an extra pedal called the moderator. So a moderator is when a piece of felt is inserted in between the hammer and the string to create a more muted, intimate, almost like a whisper in softer passages.
Well, how did you decide what repertoire to record?
So I came back from my first residency in 2017 at the Banff Center with that was really where I got to know the instrument. And I came back with a really clear idea of the music that I thought would play well with this instrument, in the sense that I was able to imagine certain effects that I could bring out in certain pieces. So I wanted to program lyrical music that I just really love, and also to showcase a range of composers, because they each used the registration and the sonority of the instrument in their own way. And also for practical reasons, because I had to choose repertoire that I could polish and record during the 4-week residency, since I didn't have 19th century fortepiano to practice on in Toronto.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's listen to some of the CD. Oh, can you tell us what we're going to be hearing?
So we're going to be hearing part of the second movement from Schubert's A Major Sonata, D664. And we're going to listen to the final reprise of the main theme to the end of the movement. So you'll hear me play the main theme with rolled chords in this repeat. And at a very interesting key change, you'll hear me use the moderator to create a really muffled sound and to really demonstrate that moment. When the left hand starts moving again in eighth notes, I used the una corda pedal, which the keyboard actually shifts, so the hammers are striking only one of the strings instead of 2 or 3 to create a softer sound again. And at a more, I guess, cheerful harmonic change, I decided to open all of the strings. So I'm using all of the strings and the damper pedal, so resonating very together for the open key change. So you're really able to hear the variety of soft effects that are possible on this instrument, and to bring out the important musical changes.
Wow, that's beautiful. Oh, okay. Well, I have to ask this question. Is the fortepiano better suited for this repertoire?
Oh, that is a loaded question.
Thought I'd catch you there.
And the answer would be, it depends who you ask.
Oh, okay.
But for myself, I love playing all keyboard instruments, and it's really a luxury to be able to be really, really specific about certain repertoire and to pair it with an instrument that works so well with that repertoire. So, I shortly after this recording, I actually performed the novelette, which is at the end of the CD. I performed it on a modern piano in a very large resonant church. And honestly, I thought I would hate it after this experience. But, when I started playing on this instrument, I again was really, really engaged with the possibilities for projection, in a large room, and just with the sheer virtuosic ability of a modern piano. So, I once again enjoyed that experience very much. But I think for the really, really intimate moments, like the Stimme aus der Ferne theme, the Clara theme that the CD is named after. On forte piano, I was able to use really long pedal markings and the moderator pedal in that moment to create a really, really ethereal and intimate texture. So I think that you can only achieve that sound on an instrument from its time.
Yeah. Well, Andrea, I can't help but wonder if you deliberately chose the instrument, the forte piano, that had the best Canadian view.
Yeah, well, being in Banff was definitely a perk. I'll definitely say that. But honestly, this is almost the only piano like this in Canada. And as far as I know, it's the only opportunity, to do a long-term project on an instrument like this. So it was just wonderful to be able to be in Banff and also to undertake a recording project on this instrument.
Yes, lucky you.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, can you tell me how this recording was produced? I mean, you started before the pandemic quarantine. You started quite before it's
quite a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I came back from that first residency in 2017, I started writing grant applications. And when it was kind of clear that the project was actually going to happen, I prepared the repertoire. I had to find a sound engineer that had experience recording with forte piano, and that was Jeremy Toots. And when the pandemic hit, I had to work with an editor remotely. So we had to be very creative about finding remote editing possibilities. And that was with Dennis Patterson here in Toronto. So I've never actually been in the same room with Dennis, but we've spent many hours pouring through and listening to edits together. So the pandemic definitely did delay the release of the CD, and also we had to be creative and pivot in a few ways that we weren't expecting. But I'm just thrilled to be able to release it now.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic, really. So what's next?
So the next project that I'm working on is actually a video launch series for this CD. Since I can't schedule a launch tour right now, this is going to be a 5-episode series about my time during the residency in Banff and the recording process. And just the process of sort of adapting my playing to the forte piano there.
Right. Oh, right. Oh, before I forget, one last question. Do you have your own forte piano?
So yes, I have a forte piano now in Toronto, and it's an instrument by Conrad Graf. It's an original from 1835 that has been beautifully restored by Edwin Bunk in the Netherlands. And I'm looking forward to doing many more live stream projects and using this instrument from my own forte piano salon.
Fantastic. Well, I'm sure all of us will be looking forward to hearing that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for talking to us, Andrea.
Thank you so much for interviewing me.
Please keep in touch.
I will.